a little bit about.
Okay. Well, the concept of the cyborg is when you enhance the possibilities of the human. So, for example, people already say if you wear glasses, or if you have a pacemaker, or even if you use like any day tools, you're already a cyborg because you're already enhancing the human. So that's one of the concepts. But what Kevin is saying is that he's the first cyborg because he actually embedded the technology within the body. So the cyborg, it's come from cybernetic plus organism, and is the meshing between the flesh and the machine. So that's the concept of the cyborg. Right now we're talking about a human cyborg, but actually at this moment there are also happening like machine cyborgs. We're talking about biological AI, which is a very, very, something that is starting in 2005, very, very recent, and it's very interesting too, which are machines with biological neurons in the machine brain. So that's already, it's the other side. We have machines that have some neurons that are actually biological. Right. In this case, we have a man who, for the first time in history, put a microchip, inserted a microchip in his left arm to enhance his possibilities. And you know, like right now, pets and have like this RFID to be fine if they He always make a joke that that kind of technology was first experimented on a human being, and then put on animals.
Then they put it in the animal. Oh, very interesting.
Yeah, it's the other way.
Right. Very interesting. So I have to do some reading on this research. So what has come out of that research with the first cyborg man? Has he evolved some way? Well, of course I know he evolved consciously because he's the first cyborg. But if you can, what are some of the results?
Yeah, well, actually, talking about evolving, and his next big experiment, which is not happening yet because it's also very risky, is about telepathy. He wants to insert a microchip within the brain to actually maybe restore a human function, which is telepathy, which a lot of people think that used to be human and kind of got lost, but it would be a technological telepathy. Right now, there are some experiments going on with microchip in brains, and it's more like, for example, the military had experimented with them with very interesting and also very scary results. Like, for example, they experimented with lions, and putting a microchip in one specific area of the brain would make the lion like a cat, like armless, completely armless. And now, if you use this on soldiers, but on the other side to push, more of a violent side, you can really create another form of control. There are a lot of issues with that.
Yes.
But it's like the brain, we don't really know a lot of like what the capacities of the brain.
Right.
And now there is another very interesting experiment with people with Alzheimer, and they experimented that putting a microchip in another specific area of the brain, the Alzheimer would completely disappear. The person would have no problem, would start walking and be completely normal. Right. And then they deactivate the microchip, and again the person cannot walk or anything. So it's really about now another switch. They're talking about medicine, which has been for many centuries chemical, is about electric.
Right. Technology.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about, and that's part of the posthumanism.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's another big field that actually is one of the more developed field, is the connection between evolution and technology. And I don't think it's the only part of the posthuman. Like, of course, humans always have been posthuman through like the dream world and shamanic experiences and mystic experience.
Yes.
But of course the technology, let's do one step behind. Humans are technological beings. So I don't believe in this thing where there is technology and there is us. Us are technology.
Yes.
Technology is us. And the same concept of Homo sapiens come with the animal that can create tools out of tools. So that the humans are defined through technology. So humans are technological. Now, of course, there is it's let's say an increase in the way like the technology is taking over our lives.
Yes.
But something that I keep actually thinking a lot these days is, so if we're going back to the concept of the multiverse and we talk about parallel dimensions, one that we can already feel is internet. So right now there is a whole net of electronic waves going on in this room we cannot see, maybe can see because they have a different kind of sight, which is happening and is interacting with us. So the concept of parallel dimension is that it's not that they are lines disconnected with them. It's the all same kind of energy working at different ways, different like they call also the cosmic dance, at different rhythm and stuff. So the internet, for example, there is a big debate right now if life can exist in internet. And of course, that's also tap into the posthuman and and what is life anyway? What's the concept of life? What is animate? What is inanimate? And also life is a very human concept. We think that alive are humans, animals, plants, and maybe rocks.
But right. And I understand that. And just that question, yes, the internet does have a life based on my concept of what life is. I believe that all things creates some type of entity with them. For lack of a better word, all groups, all things forms a leader. There's a leader already there. Humans to believe that they are the most intelligent being on earth is very arrogant.
I love this one. Yes, I love
very
it.
Arrogant, But let's see what posthumanism takes us.
You actually open a very important point, which is also the relation between humans and robots. And actually, specifically about intelligence, there is a whole huge debate, and which started in the late 70s with the rise of the computer. And a lot of philosophers were saying, that humans, like the human intelligence was considered their intelligence. So robots, compared to human intelligence were not intelligence, but the funny thing is that the way intelligence has been defined, it's always been defined to suit the human. And what I'm saying is, before the computer took over, one of the specific traits for intelligence was memory. For example, be able to memorize.
Right.
After the computer showed that the computer can memorize much more than humans, this trait has been taken off somehow. Yes. So they keep reframing the intelligence trying to suit the human intelligence, which I think is very limited. And one another thing is that they're always trying to say, robot machine can never be as intelligent as humans. They cannot make a tea or something like that.
Which is just really ignorant. I mean, it really is, because we all know, well, maybe we don't all know. Once we complete this lifetime, we still would never use the full capacity of our brain.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not. And I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime. Yeah. I'm going to put it that way. Yeah. Eventually, I guess it will evolve where humans will learn how to evolve and use the full capacity of the brain. But as of right now, no. So we're talking about a computer. Oh, yeah, you could just... all you need is some memory, some RAM. Right? Yeah. But anyhow, we got to have you back on. We got to talk more. I want to have a panel and really talk about posthumanism. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, actually, we could connect, because in June 2013, we're organizing the 5th Posthuman Conference. One thing I would like to say is that for me it's very important to connect with people, and for example, what we are doing now, and with the audience too, talking about posthumanism, because the reason why I got personally interested in this is that I realized that the future is not coming out of a blank. The future is already happening. Anyway, there is not one future. There are many futures available, many possible futures.
Absolutely.
And the fact that we are visualizing it together, we are already creating it while we are visualizing it together. So I think that it's not just an academic thing. I don't think it's just a philosophical or an artistic thing. I think it's a political and social thing. And, I come from feminism and very critical movements and underground, and that's my path, culturally and spiritually and stuff. And I was more interested in the past and in the present, but I realized that also the way people are conceiving the future is still sexist and is still racist, and that's why I think that having people who are interested in it in a very open, holistic way and thinking together I don't say can make a difference, because again, I don't think there is one future possible.
Right.
There are many, but it would be actually tapping your own energy through the kind of energy you would like.
Right. Being part of a shift.
Yeah.
Thinking, coming together. When I think of cyborg, I think of Star Trek.
It's not
I'm serious.
Yeah,
the Borg.
All right.
Are you familiar with that?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not too much.
Okay, all right. I just went on track. I don't know. I just saw that and I just, okay.
You know what?
All right.
My problem with mainstream culture, which is very important too, is just that usually go back to kind of the same stereotypes, and the real hero is always white and male, and I can't even look at the stuff without getting angry, so kind of avoid that stuff. But there is a lot of truth there too. So, I'm not saying that it's not good. I just have a problem with mainstream, because usually they always step into the same stereotypes, and even if they're thinking about the future, somehow the heroes are always white and male. I don't get it. You know, just like, God, yeah. Not that sex and race is right now, but the future might not be that way. So, when they see the future like that, it just doesn't touch me. Just feel that, no, you're not talking about the future. You're talking about the way you are visualizing it through very present categories, which might very much change.
Right. I understand what you mean about mainstream. I don't watch TV. I definitely, the news and the newspapers are definitely out for me. You know, it's very mind controlling. And if, people don't believe it, start out your day and see how you feel. Then watch the news or read the newspaper and see what you feel. You're ready to, exactly.
Yeah,
it's just no hope. There's no hope. This world, you're ready to jump on. Yeah, exactly.
It's all about fears. And why? Because so you are not controlled. The more afraid you are, the more they can control you.
Absolutely.
But the funny thing of this is that I used to be very, very angry about this stuff. So I used to be much political, more not into mainstream politics, more like... But right now I also feel that the people who are creating this kind of structure, they are imprisoned there themselves. So now I don't even feel so much anger about it anymore. I kind of, not compassion either, but I feel like these people who are creating this kind of news and this kind of system about fear and death, and they are trapped there themselves.
Right.
And who are you in this life? It's not going to change after you die. You're still there in the same kind of energy. So that's why I think that I do believe in agency, and I do believe that you cannot pick your own energies, and that goes beyond this material body, which is part also of yourself. And once you die, you're still tapped into the same kind of energy. So now, if you're creating that kind of fear culture and violent culture, you are there, you are part of it. It's not that you're creating for the other people.
Right, you're part of it. That's the energy. You're part of that energy.
Yeah.
I totally get it. Like my grandmother used to say, birds of a feather flock together. So I totally get what you're saying. We could go on and on for hours. We need to move on. I want to talk about your book.
All right.
Oh man, this book here I know is the top seller in Italy, right? Yes. Tell me the name of the book.
All right.
You say the name, and then I'm gonna say it in English.
All right. Belle anime porche.
And what that means is beautiful fucking souls. This book is written in Italian, so we're not able to read it yet, but I'm looking forward to reading this book. So from what I understand, that this book is full of controversy. I know when you were in Italy that no main publishing company wanted to touch this with a 10-foot pole. They said they liked it. It was really good. But they said, no, we can't touch that. So tell us how you were able to publish it. And what's the controversy about?
It's a long story that I tried to make it short. Okay, I always, one of the first dreams was me as a writer. I always saw myself as a writer. And I used to write poetry, and then poetry doesn't sell, so one of the suggestions was, write short stories. Anyway, at one point I won a prize from a big publisher, and the prize was that they would read, a manuscript, a whole manuscript from me. Okay. And they sincerely said, if you give us poetry, we're not going to publish. If you give us short stories, we're not going to publish. I'm talking about 2000. Right now, short stories, poetry still doesn't sell. Short stories in Italy a little bit, but at the time we were like, no short stories, no poetry. The only thing that we might publish would be a novel. And I felt, you know what? I like when you are you have to to do something new. I never thought about actually writing a whole novel, but I was like, let's do it. So I wrote the story in 2 weeks. The story, then the book, it took years to get to the point. But I wrote that, and then I rephrased it a little bit. I sent it. And then the same summer, they lost the book. Yeah. So then I reworked on it for a couple of months, resent it, and then I left for Central America, where I lived for 1 year, and I was very happy. When I was in Central America, I got an email from them saying, okay, we like your book, we want to read more of yours. And I was very happy, very hippie, living in the street, almost dying out of malaria. I was like, you're right, but I loved it. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, that's for the next show.
But I had no idea, no intention to go back to Italy at that time. But I kept it, it was like, cool, I liked the Therapy's email. And when I actually went back to Italy, and one of the reasons why I went back to Italy, it was because I knew that I wanted to pursue my career as a writer, which in Central America my days were so intense every day that I was not interested in writing anything, because my life was art right there. Every day was like a new, voyage, new adventure. So I was not interested in writing. But now when you are in a room, you know, and outside it's grey and cold, and like you want to do something interesting, and you write.
Okay. That's how you. So
I decided to go back to Italy, rework on the book, send it to them. Answer was, okay, it's very well written, but it's too violent for our standards. And these are the same publisher, it's a big publisher, it's called Einaudi, and they publish all kinds of stuff coming from, for example, the States, because in Italy there is this very intellectual colonial concept that if something comes from outside, especially from the United States, it's okay. But now if it comes from Italy, and especially a female character, that's not okay.
Oh.
So at least they were at least honest, I must say. They was like, you know, it's too violent for us. But I'm also Taurus, I'm very proud, and I was like, especially because I know what they publish. And they publish much harder stuff, but it's not Italian, so it's fine, you know? And I was like, I don't like that. So, you know, I started to work. First of all, I had worked on the book. I took a couple of years just to make the work perfect, because the story is very hard, very strong, very violent. So if you write a story like that and it's bad written, you better don't even, you really, or unless you fake it that it's autobiographical, then it can work. But otherwise, don't even try. Don't even no. Okay. So no. Okay. Unless, you know, if it's so if you have a story that is very, very hard and very violent, it needs to be well written, because you don't want to get your critics killing you, you know, like. So I really worked on the writing. So the writing was very important for me, and it took years just to make the writing perfect. And I studied all the slang, and in the train of I would check the bathroom, the toilets. People would write. Like there is a lot of slang and young culture, but I really also it's not autobiographical. But I did travel a lot, and I did also my experience, you know, with very underground culture and street culture. So even if it's not me, I really studied those years, and it was fun too, I must say.
Okay.
So anyway, at one point, I you know, the answer were very similar. You know, yeah, well written, but it's too much. So, you know, at the point, I also started to get to know a lot of people, and they were like, you're doing everything, why don't you just self-publish? And I was a little worried, because in this country, well, I think that it's kind of valued, the fact that you believe so much in yourself that you self-publish. In Italy, you always need someone to spot you out and say, oh, she's good or he's good, and then you become famous. And I'm not that kind of person, so I was like, you know what, let me try, even if I was a little worried. Right. So I started to, you know, I had helps with people who work in the theater, and we made a nice book. And then I started with photocopies, and I did 2 copies. So I sold one in the street, and the second person said, oh, you have the last copy, you have to get it, because it has enough of the 2, you know.
You all hear this?
Yeah.
Independent.
Yeah. So then, like, from 2 became 10, and then became 50. I didn't start with 1,000, because sometimes I know people who have, like, a scrivany just out of their books, because, you know, if you publish a lot of books and you cannot sell them, people who just created armoires out of their books.
Right, a coffee table. You know, the top of the coffee table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't want that.
Right.
So you start slowly. You start with 2, and then it's 5, and then it's 10, and then it's... And then I started to get 100, then 500, then 1,000, and then 2,000. And then I started to get, I was also going to all the festivals, book fairs, music festival, travel everywhere with the books, and also be fun and selling the books. And anyway, I started to get the news talking about me and articles. And at that point, 2 big publishers came, the main publisher in Italy, which is Feltrinelli Mondadori. And Feltrinelli has a very strong political background. Like, the owner was an anarchist who actually was killed by they said that he died with put in a bomb, but actually just came out that the Secret Service killed him. Yeah,
oh, wow.
Yeah, because he was connected to Fidel Castro and stuff.
Okay.
But anyway, it's a very big publisher. And the other one was Mondadori, which at the time, and still now is connected to Berlusconi. And the Mondadori was offering me more money, but Feltrinelli was my dream. Mm-hmm. And I went with them, and then it started, they have different branches. So they published in 2008 with a smaller branch called Kowalski, became a bestseller. And then in 2010, we got into this publication, which is the most precious. It's very prestigious, because all the people are, Dostoevsky, everyone is published in Universal Economic Literature. Right. And that's actually 12 years before when I visualized the same book. Right. So the power of visualization, talking about posthumanism, you know, when you visualize something, it might happen at one point if it's supposed to happen.
Wow,
maybe take years, but
you're already on the top seller bestseller list. You know, Wikipedia you. I did. Yeah. But Francesca, we got got to get you back so we can talk more. But I want to touch a little bit about you being a gangster belly dancer, formed with Medicine Women Productions. I never forget the first time we saw you, your spirit, what you were doing. It was perfect. We said, yeah, we have to have her on board, and it was just absolutely phenomenal. Just touch on a little bit about the kind of dance that you do.
Yeah.
The kind of, it's shamanic.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, actually, it's very interesting how I got back to dance, because I used to do ballet, which was not my thing, but I did it as a kid for 8 years. And then every dance hall, a reggae place, I would, dance. I just always loved dancing. But in 2005, my grandmother died. And I was very attached to her. And when I went to see her, which I spent the whole month before she died with her. But then the day she died, I didn't even want to go there. It was like, I had a reaction. I was like, 8 hours later that they told me, actually they were worried because I was not showing up every day I was there. They called me, are you okay? Yeah. Go there, I see her hands, which were white, dead white. Mm-hmm. And the day after I started this problem with the circulation in my hands. And every time I was getting a little cold, I would have this problem that no circulation would get there. I don't know if it's connected, but it seems
right. I understand. Mm-hmm.
And then I started to say, I wanted to solve this problem. And I started to do yoga, and then I started to dance again. And then that year, the dance just possessed me again. And of course, I think that it was a way that it was a gift that she gave me, actually, And after, it grew till I just, in 2009, that's all I could do is thinking about belly dancing. It was actually I always wanted to belly dance, but I didn't find the right person. Also, it's very important when you study and stuff. Yes. And at that point, also the right teacher, that she's a very important master, came. And so I started to study in 2006 belly dancing, and was a whole experience. I was just tapped into these old energies and symbols, and also very female energy, which I kind of always neglected my female side, which even now I look very feminine, I think, but I was very separated from that because I was also very angry about gender stereotypes and stuff. So I didn't wear a skirt for 15 years in my life, since I was 12. I just kind of really, and that was also very interesting for me to step this other kind of knowledge that women has passed through each other through movements. Because there are many ways you can pass knowledge. It can be oral knowledge, it can be written, and it can be movement, it can be singing, it can be many ways.
Yes.
And once I started to study that, I realized, this is a whole, I'm stepping into this whole knowledge.
World,
yeah,
a whole other energy tapping into it.
And then, of course, I wanted to combine with, I just the music that really made me dance and still makes me dance with just. It's maybe the rhythm of my blood. It's more like dancehall and gangster rap, and just because in reggaeton, because they have this bass, this strong bass that just touch me. And in belly dance, it's more about sensuality, and maybe it's the air and the water, but there is not so much earth. There is, but it's not so much earth and fire. And I felt that connecting the belly dance with gangster rap, and I'm not talking about the spoken words of gangster rap. I'm talking about the feeling, the vibration. Because then if you listen to the words, they say a lot of bullshit, but many other form of art say many bullshit, especially if you're thinking as a feminist or so then you would not listen to anything because almost everything is patriarchal and racist and stuff. So I'm just not even going to the rational. I'm going about the irrational, what the emotion that gives you. And I just love it. It just touched me, and connected the two made me feel that I could actually have all the elements within belly dance, and I could have more of more dancehall movements, which are going to the ground, and more also sexual movements. Because
well, you know what? Let's take a look at that. Okay, we'll look at it. I saw he's getting ready to give me the time. Okay. All right, I'm gonna close it right now. Yeah. Then we're gonna show footage. You'll give me some footage. Okay. Well, Francesca. Thank you so much for coming on Everyday Superwoman Show. I'm looking forward to having you coming back on. I'm definitely looking to look into the posthumanism panel. You got to get this book translated into English, my love. Yes, we need it. We need it here. I want to read it. I really do. Well, thank you.
I want to thank you so much for inviting me to have this show, and I also want to tell you that I am one of your first listeners for the Everyday Superwoman Show. I love what you're doing. I think it's really important the way you address all kind of issues with a nice spirit, but also very deep issues, And I also, so I thank you not only for having me here, but have this show and to exist because I love your energy. And the first time I saw the Medicine Women online and then I met you, I knew that there was energy that I was connected with, and I just thank you to do what you do. It's amazing.
Thank you. Same to you. Thank you, Francesca.
Ciao a tutti e tutte, sono Francesca Ferrando e non ti dimenticare di mettere la da essi